Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So sister, will you have 45 years of greatness? So I was inspired actually this morning. I was out walking my dogs early. Here's another good lesson as well too, in just trusting things, right? Trusting. So I showed up to my 6 a.m. training time with my trainer Rob this morning for boxing, and he wasn't there. He didn't show up. Now I've been away for the last week and a bit, and our training times have not been always the regular times, with my husband traveling and me being able to, or having to be home with my little boys in the morning before they get to school and daycare. Because often we would train at 6, and so obviously I can't leave a 3.5 and a 6.5-year-old in the house by themselves. So we've had to adjust and adapt a lot of times. So, no big deal. Waited 10 minutes. I'm like, Rob's kind of forgotten that we're back on now. So just drove home, decided to walk my dogs instead. And as I'm walking down to my son's school, I look up and there's a sign. So you see a lot of elementary or high schools or junior high schools. But there's a sign up and it said, celebrating 45 years of greatness. And it said, Mr. Mann. And that is actually the school's principal. His name is Taj Mann. He is retiring this year. He is an incredible principal. Incredible. This is the first year we've been at the school since we moved here to Victoria. And my oldest son, Tyson, if you've been following the podcast for a while, you've heard me talk about Tyson a lot. And, he's just not the kind of kid that fits in the school box that easily. He does his own thing, right? And that's cool. And I was talking to Tarj about it because school newsletter comes out an email once a week. And it announced that, hey, Tarj is retiring, and he's, he kind of wrote it himself, and I'm sad that this is happening, but it's time. And, I was talking to him about it and saying, oh my gosh, Tarj, it's so great you're retiring, awesome, but man, I'm going to miss you. Because he's so good with Tyson. Tyson's had a number of different incidents that have come up, and Tarj has just been unbelievable every single time. He understands really focusing on all the, great things within the kids, including my son Tyson, and not just saying, well, this is what's wrong, right? And that's easy to do. Don't we do that in life often, of just well, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. Working on our quote-unquote weaknesses versus really celebrating and embracing our strengths. Working on your weaknesses, that's bullshit. It does nothing. What does that do? You should really be all in with your strengths. And so Tarj really recognizes that. And I know as things would come up, he wouldn't be flippant about it, but he would just kind of take it differently. And when I was discussing this with him, he said, you know what, your son has qualities that will serve him well as an adult. With kind of a smile on his face, right? Because Tyson is a boy who's, opinionated and does his own thing and doesn't necessarily follow easily and stands up for himself and, a lot of traits with which most schools frown upon because you're not following the rules and doing what you've been told to do and all that kind of stuff. And so he recognizes that. He goes, this just means that in this kind of a school, in school, it's I can't remember the words exactly that he said, but he didn't say it's not a fit, but just kind of it seems like it's a challenge now, but these are things that will actually serve him really well as an adult, as a man. And so we were just chatting for a little bit, and yeah, he's an incredible man. He said to me, he goes, there isn't a day that hasn't gone by that I don't relish being here with these children. He said, I've loved it so much. And I truly feel that and believe that in him, what he's saying. He truly means that. And he's always out there with the kids, the kids that are doing the crosswalk stuff, and he's dressing up when they have different dress-up days, and, he's the one flipping the pancakes at the pancake breakfast stuff. He's just always there. He's just incredible, man. Incredible human being. So thankful that at least we had a year, got to have his last year before he retired. And as I'm walking the dogs this morning down to my son's school and back, it's about maybe 20, 25 minutes with the dogs. on the sign, they had that, again, celebrating 45 years of greatness. You know, Mr. Man, we'll miss you, or something like that. I was like, man, 45 years as an educator. And that whole term, 45 years of greatness, just really stuck with me. And I was like, you know what? Tarj will look back on this time in his life and really realize that he did live his life. I mean, I just know him as how he shows up as a principal, but my experience has been in life that how you do one thing is how you do most things. I have a feeling that he's an incredible husband. I have a pretty good idea that he's probably an incredible dad and maybe a grandfather if he has grandkids. You know, you just see it. You just see it. He has that presence. He has that light about him. And it's hard to believe he's a man, obviously in his 60s, because he just doesn't look that way at all. 45 years of greatness. Can you say that about yourself? Are you on the path to greatness? Are you doing the thing that you love to do, that you, in Tarj's words, relish each day? I put a Facebook Live up this morning because as I saw it, it's like early and I kind of look like shit, and I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna shoot this Facebook Live because I think it was just a really important conversation to have. And that if you were not, I'll put the link to it too in the show notes here, if you're not on that path to 45 years of greatness, and if you want that, like how can you begin to shift this process? See, for me, as I shared in the Facebook Live video, it started about 5 years ago for me. Now, I don't feel like my life was wasted up until then, by any means. I was on a path as a chiropractor, is what I wanted to be. And, 5 years ago, let's see, Tyson would have been a year and a half. We were finally mommy and daddy. My husband was about a year out from his emergency surgery that he had for Crohn's. There was a lot of things that were going, well, I'm going to say okay in our life. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It wasn't great. At least it wasn't consistent that. So 5 years ago, I started to have this rumbling, this voice inside of me that said, there's a message that you have to share. And I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know how to express it. I just started to explore it. I started to take action on things. That's when I started to blog initially. And then did video blogs. Then had my first podcast, Moment 41. And the second one, and tried different products that I launched in. And then started coaching a year and a half ago. And everything's just laid on top of the next. And here we are now with a big Facebook coaching program called The Sisterhood. And my third live event I'm doing coming up in June 2017. And where I now live in Victoria, BC. Like, things have shifted dramatically on this path to greatness for some great coaches and mentors that I've had, and really the decades of investing in me. 45 years of greatness. And here's the thing. It doesn't take somehow that you have to have these special, unique skills to have this, or to be this, or to do this. It's simply getting clear on what you want, how you define greatness for yourself, sister. Why, if this matters to you, why does a life of greatness matter? Why is it an absolute must for you? And will you commit to doing whatever it takes? See, a lot of people are great starters. They just can't continue. They choose not to continue. I shouldn't say can't. They choose not to continue. They make excuses and reasons and lies as to why they can't. Or I bet you there were many mornings or many days that Tarj was just like, oh man, maybe I had to deal with a teacher that wasn't the greatest, or a student that was a real challenge, and he committed to that every single day. As a principal, and I'm sure was a teacher then before that, but 45 years as an educator, 45 years of greatness. Will you be able to say the same about yourself, sister? And again, if not, how do you need to change that? So here's your more tip for today. Number one, take out your journal. I want you to find what a life of greatness would look like for you. What would a life of greatness look like in your marriage? What would it look like in your business or work? What would it look like in your body? What would it look like in your family? What would a life of greatness be like? What would your days look like inside those 4 more pillars? Marriage, business/work, your body, and your family. What would it look like? And the second thing is this, I love action, sister. A lot of you will talk to me. You'll tell me things. Karen, I love this stuff. I go, that's great, dude. Let's get you started in something. Let's get you started in the sisterhood. You can try it for free for 7 days. Which, by the way, is over at drkarenosborn.com/sisterhood. If you haven't heard of it yet, it's my new coaching program. All through Facebook. Incredible close group. About 70 women in the program right now. Getting massive changes. Some are getting greater changes at the minimal investment to be in this coaching program, like minimal, compared to the clients I've had that have paid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to coach with me. Like incredible changes. And so for some of those women, I've said, hey, great, let's do the next step. This would be it. Try free for 7 days. Well, you know what? I'm really busy right now. And, I just don't have the time. And I'm like, you don't even fucking know what it is yet. Don't have the time. You're already creating excuses. You must not be committed to a life of greatness. You must only be talking about it. So the second piece of this more tip is to actually take action. What is one action step you can take today? See, decision comes from making it quickly. Actions comes from doing it swiftly. Not adding to your fucking to-do list of something else that you're going to do and you're never going to do. Except just crossing it off on one list and putting it on the next one. Or delete and copy paste and just keep moving it through your Google Calendar. No. What is one action you can take today, sister, that will start to create this life of greatness? If you so desire that. Now I'm going to make a big leap here and suggest if you're listening to this podcast and wanting more, there's a reason that you're listening and you're hearing this message right now. So you can really listen to the message that I'm speaking. You can really take action on this more tip and do it. Or you continue to be like some of the women that just tell me stuff and never do anything. A life of greatness doesn't happen by accident. You weren't born with it. You don't have the DNA for it. It comes by fucking doing the work. It comes by taking action. It comes by being consistent, committed. What do I want? What do I want? So, sister, here is actually one way that you can fast track a life of greatness, and that's on my Woman Wanting More Live. It is a one-day event in Victoria, BC, Canada, June 10th, 2017. Fly down here, and this is an international airport, beautiful city, by the way. It's the capital of BC. People come from all over the world to come visit Victoria because it is that beautiful and lovely. Hear the birds chirping as I record this podcast. Beautiful spring day, nice and warm. So you'll fly up on the Friday and or drive if you live nearby. All day Friday. Fly up on Friday. It'll be the one-day event. Women Wanting More Live is Saturday. You'll hang out Saturday night. Meet the other sisters there. And I've actually decided to cap this at 100. I talked about the original number of 150. No, I'm 100. I listen to the voice, 100. 100 of you. This will be a very special event. Now listen, I've had a few who reach out to me and say, I just can't make this one, or I don't know if I'm ready yet. I'll come to the next one. I don't know if there'll be a next one. And this is for real. This is not like a sales, tactic. Like, for real. It's a shitload of energy and time and money for me to run these events. So I don't know. This will be a test of this one day. So if you want something, you can make it happen. But if you want to fast track this process to greatness, come to Women Wanting More Live. You will leave clear with what you want, why it matters, and an action plan on how to make that happen, that life of greatness. So that's over at drkarenosborn.com/live, L-I-V-E. So I will talk to the next episode, sister. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborn.com/newsletter.